It's Friday, August 8, 2014. This material contains iconoclast content critical of sacred cows. However, the opinions expressed here are just personal observations of mine, and saying something does not make it so. After reading rave reviews of the latest Richard Linklater film Boyhood, which suggest a must-see groundbreaking cinematic event, I spent Sunday in 2 sellout lines and finally made it in. This review is motivated by the overwhelming and pretty much uniformly fawning praise, which I find unhinging. I wanted it to be a documentary. It sounded like documentary style, something real, not just a writer's concocted story using well-worn familiar actors. I went in hoping that it wouldn't matter that it was only a pseudo-documentary. It did matter. I liked earlier Linklater films, Slacker from '91 and Dazed and Confused from '93, for audacious, plotless form and zeitgeist real texture, which he delivers with abundant talent. Waking Life from 2001 introduced a technique that drew animation as real life, along with content that provided antithesis to conventional American taste for movies loaded with sex, violence, and sentimentality. It followed 12 years after an also transformational film by Steven Soderbergh, Sex, Lies, and Videotape from '89, an independent film with, again, non-Hollywood, non-American dream content. What seems to get everyone all excited is what they see as the unique element of a 12-year time frame with a succession of annual 14-minute episodes seamlessly attached together using the same actors each time. Not a bad concept if combined with other methods than conventional commercial ones. Rather than spending $4 million on stage sets, equipment, and a bunch of agreeable actors, most of whom Mr. Linklater had used in prior films, including Eller Coltrane in Fast Food Nation from 2006, how much more worthy would this film have been if he had found an actual family to document over 12 years with their own stories of what was important in their lives each year, instead of what we got, which was simply actors parroting a writer's script in melodramatic Hollywood form with all the sentimentality hooks well in place, and further emotion-engaging tools like the horrors of flying splinters of glass at the dinner table. I'm thinking there are some willing families to do this multi-year documentation for considerably less than the fees Patricia Arquette and Ethan Hawke were paid. All the better to get authentic expression from non-actors instead of canned pretend behavior from professional actors. Must phony artifice rule, as in the stagey convenience of a pictorial useful red light darkroom that follows a sequence where Mason is shooting with a Canon EOS 7D digital camera. Is cinema verite dead? Can Spirit of Dogma 95 be revived to spark some diversity in American film? Can a novel promotion distribution plan emerge to challenge the existing big studio oligarchy and break their death grip dictatorship influence on morals, taste, and values? Perhaps the measure of a film's worth can be framed in 2 essential metrics. Number 1, is there a payoff you can take home? Did the ticket price and time invested provide a worthy yield? Is there ultimate redemption for any onerous weight visited upon your psyche before the credits roll? Number 2, will the suspension of disbelief factor remain intact throughout the film? Apart from Ouija board and tarot card games, this interesting state may be unique to movies. It seems to be a voluntary act of will, yet it occurs automatically when the lights go down. There is an involuntary aspect to this that can rule like the rigidity of a steel bench vise. Being conscious of the theater surroundings, and that you even exist, sometimes gets displaced as you are drawn intractably deeper into the vortex the film commands. Michael Haneke made a classic example of this in Funny Games from 1997. This happened in spite of the protagonist occasionally breaking out of the action of the story to direct a question to the theater audience. Also, several Hitchcocks have commanded a similar juggernaut. Beyond the thrillers, there are calmer, effectively absorbing films to keep you engaged, such as Days of Heaven, Down by Law, Nanook of the North, Adaptation, The English Patient, The Bicycle Thief, Network, King of Hearts, Husbands, The Celebration, Breaking of Waves, Wise Blood, Buena Vista Social Club, Village of Dreams, Good Will Hunting, The Steamroller and the Violin, Paris, Texas, and Cries and Whispers. In Boyhood, the suspension of disbelief I granted was gradually reclaimed as it looked more and more like a formulaic box office effort, and I began to realize this was the longest 164 minutes I'd ever spent. If, like the showy folks at the Academy Awards, you like acting and acting out, actors and emoting, you may find this film worthwhile. The acting was generally good, especially Arquette and Hawke. On the redemption side, I'm still scratching around. All the adults were damaged, painful to watch, with lots of agreeable, obligatory, socially compliant hugs and cliched I love yous. Maybe a representation of contemporary desperation to find meaning. For Mason, the best we can wish for is a slightly promising angle on ennui, which may resonate. For lots of us, that may be as good as it gets. Any possible ultimate payoff on this investment will have to wait until a time when some positive residue surfaces after time and reflection sift out all the five-star hype. I'm Gordon. Thanks for waiting through this with me.